you
wrecked. I got wrecked.
This is a certified hood classic.
To this day. To this day. Believe that the baby is your son?
No, sir.
And why don't you believe it's yours?
Because I don't have no connection with him. I don't think he looks like me.
And you say it's Sean's baby?
Yes,
Definitely.
definitely.
Okay, let's
But you
find
know
out.
what?
Sean, you took a DNA test before the show, and the DNA results are that you are not the father.
Told you. My life, I told you.
I would suppose this other guy that you put on the birth certificate,
He the dad. 'Cause
he is the dad. Well, he happens to be here. Let's bring him out. Either way, do you feel like you want to be the father, you don't want to be the father?
No, I do not.
You
Look.
don't want to be the father.
No, I do
Well,
not.
obviously, for some
Okay,
reason, you guys
that's good
don't
for me
like
because
each
you
other.
ain't did nothing. They ain't gonna never do nothing. So
Van, you are not the father.
Legends have say that this man has freed more black men than Abraham Lincoln. Ladies, this is why body count matters. Because legends have say that this Kareem guzzling hoochie is still looking for the father till this day. There's no words for the situation, but just a child who will suffer with a bitter mother.
For a child that she told me that was mine and has taken me to court for child support, I've paid almost $15,000 in child support.
So you admit you do owe the child support.
Not on a child that's not mine. No, ma'am. He's
But you
not-
said you signed the birth certificate.
I did sign a birth certificate. She made me believe that the child was mine by saying that she was only with me.
You did sleep with her.
I did, yes, ma'am.
You thought you were exclusively together, girlfriend, boyfriend, committed.
No, ma'am. She was married at the time.
Your Honor,
Oh.
no, when we first met, we both were married. When we both met, we were separated. I wasn't with my husband for a year and a half whenever I got
Your Honor,
to see
that's
my
not
son.
true.
Take me back.
I was
Let me
divorced when
understand
my
this
son-
relationship. When you met, you both were married.
I was separated from my wife and I moved into a townhouse, which
Okay.
was next to her and her husband.
And my
Okay.
ex-husband and I were going through issues and we're separating.
Okay.
So-
So you all began a sexual relationship,
Yes, ma'am.
but both of your marriages were not completely over at
is
the time.
Correct.
Tell me about the first night you all were intimate. How did this relationship begin?
We were hanging out next door and we were all friends, hanging over there shooting pool, drinking, having watching movies, and everybody left except for me, and one thing kind of led to another. He made a pass at me, and
So you began a sexual relationship.
correct.
And how long did it continue before you found out you were pregnant?
That was in 2007. My son was born in 2011.
Oh, 4 years.
Exactly.
So you
We
all were
lived
living
together.
next door to one another for 4 years?
No,
and
ma'am. That's when we first met. We lived together on and off over the last 8 years. When my son was born, we were living together.
She was not living with me.
Yes, I was, and I
When
was
she
also
got
paying the
pregnant,
bills.
she moved in with me when she got pregnant because I wanted to do the right thing.
Well, she said that when her son was born, she was living with you. That was right.
Yes, ma'am.
That's correct.
That is correct. I'm
okay.
sorry.
So
Yes,
what
ma'am.
you're saying is when her son was conceived, she was not living
No,
with you.
ma'am,
But
she
I
was
spent
not.
6
So
out of
your
7
point
days a
is
week
you
at
don't
his
know
house.
if she was sleeping with someone else or
I
not.
do know for a fact that she was with somebody else.
Oh, what do you know?
I know Crystal. Crystal was married when she came to my house on the first night.
But you
slept
know,
with
Your
me.
Honor, this other gentleman he's talking about, while we were not together, I was dating somebody else, and we split up 2 months prior to me getting pregnant with my son.
That's not true, Your
And then-
Honor. I know for a fact that on a specific night that she said that she was going out with this gentleman, I called her. Crystal never answered the phone. Not text, nothing. All day, all night. Next day, I get a hold of her. Crystal, where were you? Oh, I went out to dinner with this guy and I got sick and I was in the hospital.
He knew I was seeing somebody else, and what I'd done at that time was none of his business because we were not together.
Your Honor, we've never been together. It's just
Really, but yeah, we got 8 years together. We lived together multiple
have one-
times.
So wait, let's get to the birth. I want
If a woman swears in court that she has not slept with anybody else and that child is not the man's, and by all means necessary, she should be immediately walked into jail from the courtroom for contempt. Now, I want you guys to just imagine put yourself in this situation, how crazy it is that a woman can put your name on a birth certificate knowing damn well that that child is not yours. And that's not even the twisted part. The twisted part is that the American courts will actually hold you accountable to pay child support for a kid that's not even yours. And if you don't pay it, you'll be sent to jail.
It's the biggest piece of dog shit that I have ever heard. Everyone's laughing, by the way, but it's true because everybody's heard it too. Everyone heard it, right? They look at all, everyone's like, yeah, big piece of dog shit.
You
This is literally the definition of men suffer in silence. The man was crying because he was betrayed, emotionally damaged, and hurt. But the girl was crying simply because she got caught. Because the woman will never cry for the things she has done, but will always cry for the consequences she has to pay.
When a divorced dad was ordered to pay child support for a child who isn't his, he turned to our Target 8 investigators for help. We uncovered it's perfectly legal for the state to order him to pay support for another man's child and to deny biological fathers who want to pay from doing so. Target 8's Heather Walker exposes a law that's being called outrageous.
What's going on, buddy?
Joseph Shamilar is a divorced dad of 2. Not even 9 months after the split, Joe got some shocking news from his boys.
And they got in the car and they were bouncing up and down, telling me that mom has a new baby. And I said, well, is she babysitting? Is she, is she looking after someone?
So you didn't think it was real?
No, I had no idea.
His ex-wife had given birth. She had gotten pregnant during their separation by another man. Legally, she was still married to Joe. Court papers clearly acknowledge the baby is not Joe's, but Albert Bush's, and that Bush had established a personal, financial, or custodial relationship with the child. The court ordered medical expenses be split between the biological parents. But the Friday before Father's Day, Joe got a letter in the mail from friend of the court.
I thought, my God, this is hilarious. It's Father's Day weekend, and here's the biggest joke that I think I've ever had played on me transpiring right now.
The letter said he owed $8,500 in back child support plus medical expenses for a baby his ex-wife had with another man. So the court was asking you to pay for a child that's not yours.
Exactly.
I went to Ottawa County front of the court office to get answers. How is this legal? Their spokesperson agreed to do an on-camera interview, but on the scheduled day changed his mind and would only answer our questions over the phone. He told us it didn't matter who the biological dad is, only what's in the best interest of the child. In other words, which one can take best care of the child financially. The court decided that was Joe.
Do you think this law needs to be changed in any way?
We went straight to the man who tried to fix the law, Senator Rick Jones.
I certainly would agree that if you're married to someone, they then run off and have a child by another man, that you should not have to pay child support. That seems a bit outrageous.
The original law was written back in 1956. It said if a child is born to a married woman, the biological dad has no legal rights. Last year, it was updated to allow husbands like Joe to fight financial responsibility.
What's the biggest problem with the law and the language, would you say?
It's not clearly drafted.
Melissa Drake is Joe's attorney. She tells us the law isn't just failing him, it's not working for biological dads either. Rob Recknagel says he's had trouble eating and sleeping since his son was born.
Every single day that goes by that I don't get to see him, it just gets tougher. I don't know what he looks like.
Rob says he searched online hospital nurseries just to see if he could find his son. He says he didn't know his girlfriend was still married when they got together. Rob says they were planning to blend their families. Rob bought a ring. But before she gave birth, Rob says he got this email saying although the baby was his, she was going to raise it with her husband.
I'm standing here saying I want my son in my life. I want to pay child support. Let's sign the proper documents and let me just do that.
You're trying to do the right thing.
That's all I want.
What can be done about this?
what can be done about this is people should be more responsible and shouldn't have sex outside of marriage, shouldn't father children outside of marriage, and should think before they act. That's what needs to happen. Could we do more? Yes. Could we fine-tune it? Yes. Should a father have to pay support on a child when it's not his child? No. So we do need to do more, but we've made some monumental changes.
Heather Walker reporting. Well, after we started questioning friend of the court, it dropped its request for Joe to pay child support. In fact, 10 days ago, an Ottawa County judge issued an order clearing Joe of all responsibility for that child. As for Rob, he was able to see his son, but only for an hour. He's still fighting in court to get legal rights for regular visits.
Any woman who wrongfully, knowingly do this to men should be held accountable and responsible for their actions. Now, every child support case should have a mandatory DNA test purchased by the state. Child support should not be set until a legal paternity test is done. Now, when a child is born, a DNA test should be mandatory before that child even leaves the hospital. I don't care how much you love her and how much you trust her, because damn it, you'd be surprised. Now, before I end this video, this kind of reminds me of the situation that happened to my uncle, and this was an RP moment for me. So he divorced his wife, and his wife threatened him to stay away from the kids, not to come close, while she told the kids that their dad did not want to see him. How would you feel? It's a totally heartbreaking story. And it's cunning, it's gaslighting, it's just pure manipulation. Now, on that note, gentlemen, don't forget this. There is no woman out there more beautiful than your freedom.
It's in. Oh my God, it's in.
All right, everybody.